Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my amazing, gorgeous, super talented co-host and producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's happening, Shawn?
Okay, all right. What's happening now?
What?
And she did the finger point,
I
too.
Watch out now.
Watch out there now. Get back. How you doing today?
Today I am blastastic.
Blastastic.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was given to us by one of our in-studio live guests for the Model Health Show in Chicago, Lisa Carbello.
Yes.
Said that it's so fantastic, she's having a blast.
I like that.
I'm taking it.
That. I like that. And shout out to everybody who came out to Chicago to the event to hang out with us. It was a total surprise.
It was a surprise.
It was a total surprise for everybody because, you know, I've been doing book signings all across the country, but when we went to Chicago, Jade was actually with me this time.
We took the show on the road.
So we had to break out the microphones,
Yeah.
and I appreciate everybody for coming out and hanging out with us. It was really amazing.
You were busy.
Yeah, yes. To say the least.
Right. Talk about it.
Yeah, so when I was in Chicago, I did Cusp Conference, which is sort of like TED Talks, but more geared towards design and art.
Sweet.
And what an amazing time. I mean, wow. Just having so many people come up to me, because this was a pretty new audience to me in my work.
Right.
And just the line of people, you know, to communicate that I was speaking to some of their struggles, you know, because I shared my story and also how I was able to overcome my challenges with my own health, you know, and it's pretty devastating to hear this. You know, there was actually one guy who was exactly in the spot that I was in when I was 20 years old. Degenerative disc disease diagnosis, nothing he could do about it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there were more
more
than just one person or their spouses. People were coming up to me and telling me about this, but he was also two herniated discs in the same place, the same disc, L4, L5S1. And he was just really opting for surgery right now. Just like, I just want to get out of pain. And he didn't know that it was possible, which is just still so shocking to me, but not. And this is why it's so important, because all of us listening today, we can tend to get into our own little health bubbles. And we forget that 95% of the rest of the population don't know about these things.
That's right.
You know, we're still operating on vending machine consciousness, guys. So don't think that you're getting better and improving yourself and you're having the commitment and the intention to serve other people and to help other people with their health, that, oh, there's so many people already doing it. Please, we need you.
Yeah.
We need you to step up and to help make that happen, because we've got a lot of work to do.
Right.
And it's never been more prevalent than now. But also, we've got this huge wave of people who are stepping up and making a difference. And this podcast platform has been a huge catalyst in this. And I'm so
And
grateful.
our trip proved how impactful and how much reach it has.
Yeah.
And I was telling people that came up and they're saying, thank you. And I says, no, thank you. Yeah. Because you are the receptacles.
The receptacles.
I mean, we talk about that with the
yeah.
receptacles, and we've got our cells that have receptacles to certain information.
Receptor sites.
Receptor sites.
You just
Was
hit
I
it
out
again.
there saying it all crazy? No, that's actually kind of fun and real.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So what I meant was receptor sites, but they are our receptor sites for this information. Therefore, we all work together to then make the greater body operate and function. So I thanked them as well.
Exactly. You just
Pretty
said
powerful.
it. That's how functions actually happen. It takes that hormonal catalyst and the receptor site meeting to make the function happen.
So
this
I'm
is why
a
we all
hormonal
need this.
catalyst?
Of course
I
you
like
are.
that.
Clearly. Clearly. So, and then from there, I jumped on a flight and I actually got to meet my wife. She flew out from St. Louis to Los Angeles to meet me there for the Institute of Transformational Nutrition, their annual event. Cynthia Pasquella, big shout out to her and her amazing crowd, her amazing audience. Wow, what an amazing experience that was. I just said amazing 3 times.
Yeah, you did, because it was that amazing. It was try-mazing.
And so I got to speak to all of those wonderful people, and then we had a mastermind.
Oh my gosh, you can't even call that a mastermind. That's like the master of the masterminds that you were together.
Sounds kind of.
It was almost sinister. I mean, can you guys get away with that?
Let me tell you who's in attendance. I'll go ahead and break it out for you.
Right.
So this incredible mastermind that I put together, to have this group of individuals in the same room, life-changing, to say the least, and everybody in that energy field can't help but be transformed. And so it was myself who facilitated this, put it together. Drew Manning, Fit to Fat to Fit.
Yes.
Tristan Truscott. All right, the Satori Method. Danielle and Darren Natoni were in the house. Fit and Funky, shout out.
Yes.
George Bryant, the civilized caveman, was there with me.
Okay.
Aubrey Marcus, CEO
Seriously.
of On It. Dr. Pedram Shojai was there, the urban monk himself.
Urban monk was with
Dr.
us.
Jay Tita was in the
my
building.
favorite.
Drew Canoli, CEO of Organifi.
And you had
Fit Life
another
TV.
Drew up in there.
Right. Two Drews, they met face to face. The universe almost imploded on itself.
Right.
And Dr. Jeff Spencer, the Champions Blueprint. And, of course, my very good friend and who helped to allowed us his space out there in L.A., Jim Quick, my good friend, accelerated learning expert, Superhero U. Shout out to Superhero U.
Right.
Check out superherou.com.
I can imagine what a satellite shot over that space where you all were, measuring the energy and the force field coming from the collection
We've
of
got
you
a lot
all
of heat
shifting
coming from
the
LA.
atmosphere, right?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean,
Messing
to
up
say
the
the least.
measures, seismic measures, and those tools.
What was so amazing about it was the fact that every single person was so humble and so giving and so willing to step their game up to help serve in that mission that we talked about earlier. Again, the 95% who are suffering right now, who don't realize that there are solutions, or who might have heard a few things here or there. Maybe they saw an article somewhere, Dr. Oz, whatever the case might be, but they're not applying because they think that it's not for them, or there's some kind of disconnect. How can we connect with those people and help to really uplift our community and this planet as a whole?
Well, I think that's what brings you all together. Of course, you attracted one another. You could have called a meeting.
Right.
But those that showed align with that and have made this possibility accessible for the rest of us.
Exactly.
I love that.
Some good stuff is coming from that experience.
So how'd things go with your Google talk?
Google. Oh my goodness.
You
Google.
spoke at Google.
Yeah, it was really cool.
People
what a
turn
cool
to
place.
Dr. Google and you're talking to Dr. Google.
I
You're
know.
consulting the good
when
doctor.
I was talking with them, with their team, with their employees, and I said something about Google it, you know, and it just, before the words came out, I was like, oh, this is a dope moment right here. Because I'm here, you know. But what a cool place. Everybody has standing desk. There are little napping pod areas.
Sweet.
The cafeteria is just crazy. They've got a robot. They have a robot.
That does what?
Right? They have an actual robot. It's not like you would think, like, you know,
R2D2.
I'm doing the robot
right,
dance, by the way.
I'm watching you. Right.
Yeah,
You just can't even be that stick, though. That's so funny.
Oh, no. You know I can get to it.
Don't you want me to put on a beat? I can put on a beat.
Don't do it.
All right.
Don't do it.
Now there's a beat in your head, right? As soon as I said that, you're thinking of a beat.
Yes, I am. How did you know this?
I know
you have that ESPN.
Yeah, we're kind of connected.
ESP. So, yes, the robot was a T robot. So
Neat.
It's sort of like, you know, when you go and you get, maybe you go to Starbucks or whatever the case might be, and you order something, and it's like different ingredients. It just puts all the ingredients together for you. So it'll take each separate thing and make your drink.
Okay.
And then I saw in the little cylinders that it had like cacao nibs and yerba mate tea and hibiscus and just all these incredible ingredients. All gourmet.
All have an environment
organic
like that.
food.
I love it.
It was fantastic. Right. Can you imagine?
What does that say about what that does for not only their productivity, but their workforce, but the attention and care that they have for them?
Exactly. That's why they brought me in, is to address that other piece, which was so surprising, even within that context of people who work in literally online at Google, who are just now hearing about the importance of that sleep, the importance of optimizing their sleep quality and how to do it.
Right.
You know, like several of them, what I said to Google was flux, because of the room filled with people, maybe it was like 5% that knew about flux.
Okay.
You know, f.lux, by the way, for those who are not using it. And this is an app that automatically, and it does this based on your time zone, the time of day, time of year. It does this automatically. It pulls the most troublesome spectrum of light from your computer screen. And why does this matter? Well, Harvard researchers have confirmed that basically every hour that you're on your device, so whether this is the computer, your phone, your television, every hour that you're on it at night, you're going to suppress your melatonin for 30 minutes.
Whoa,
all right. So
not good.
This is talking about, so we get into a situation where you can physiologically lay down and go to bed, right? You're laid down, you're unconscious, but your melatonin is not being produced properly. So you're not going to go through your normal sleep cycles, right? Your sleep cycles are going to be thrown off. This is why we wake up feeling like an old, dirty, broken down, holy sock, right? A shoe, all right? That's just been ran over and beat up, right? And so we want to make a shift here with basic small things, with these tiny hacks of how can I pull out the most troublesome spectrum of light in the evening? And what they also found was that it's not during the day. During the day, it's all good. And shout out to Shu, by the way, when I said Shu. Our incredible.
He's a fresh, sparkly Shu.
He's everything with the crew. The camera, the sound, and also he was so intricate in doing that event in Chicago. So I just want to thank him.
It could not have happened without him. He is how that happened.
Yeah. AKA
we could have been there.
Shoeguyver.
Yes. We could have been there and it not even moved the needle. But because he was there, that was possible.
Yes. Thank you, Shu.
Welcome.
So, and on that note, with Flux, so F.lux, it's a free app, and it does that automatically. It's easy to deactivate. Like if somebody works on a computer, they need to look at a design or something, you just click, deactivate it, and turn it right back on. But generally, it doesn't interfere with anything you're doing on the computer at all.
Okay.
So this is for your desktop, laptop, no matter what type of device you actually have, you can get it on there.
So cool.
And it's going to help your body to produce more melatonin so that when you do go to sleep, you're actually producing melatonin.
Right.
All right. So
to make your sleep even better for all the other rest.
One other thing I got to throw in there too is that they
pun intended.
They also confirm that the counter thing with blue light. So what is it doing? Why is melatonin suppressed? Well, it intrinsically elevates your cortisol levels at night, all right? And elevated cortisol at night is a killer of sleep quality, okay? Cortisol is as close to anti-sleep as you can get, but you can physiologically be exhausted and pass out, but that doesn't mean you're getting high-quality sleep.
Right.
And we get into that vicious circle and we're waking up, and then we have to stimulate ourselves with outside substances and try to make it through the day, and we go through that whole process. When we can have small things like this to help improve our lives. But
that sounds like it basically you're in a physical state of sleep, but not actually sleeping. Your body just timed out. Yeah. In other words, where you ever had your laptop freeze up on you and you're like clicking things and it's just got the timer going on to let you know that nothing's happening, right? But it's not functioning. So
that circle.
If we're not getting,
that loading circle,
the little rainbow circle, right. What? Right when you needed to send some very important information to a recipient. So with that cortisol elevated, you might still sleep, but that little wheel.
You're not getting to those pages. That's such a great analogy. I like that, Jade.
I think.
I like it a lot.
I'm a colorful thinker.
But some of the good things, though, that we can utilize when we get up in the morning, for example, like today, I had my lion's mane tea, and coupled with my amazing strawberry MCT oil was in there as well.
Let me tell you about that strawberry MCT.
On its emulsified. Yep. So that means you don't even need to blend it. You can literally just mix it with a spoon and it mixes very well. You haven't seen anything like this with oils.
Never.
All right, period.
Never.
But it can mix very well that way. But I do throw it in the blender because I like to throw in some other stuff too. But you can throw it into your coffee, your teas, things like that, your smoothies.
For the children, you can put it straight into their almond milk. Or their, what I just discovered, flaxseed milk, and make a strawberry milk.
Oh, that's so smart.
It was, I don't know where it came from, but they were lining up. Yeah. This is great. So they got all the nutrients there, right?
And why does this matter?
And it didn't have a little bunny on there,
that bunny, though.
Color, it was totally colorless. It was wonderful. I think
why this matters?
That was for on it.
Why this matters, number one, our brain and our nervous system are based on fats. Please hear this. This is, again, the 95%. It surprises me, and I'll ask. I'll go to a corporate event, and I'm speaking at a corporate event, and I'll ask honestly, how many people feel that saturated fat is bad for you, or that fats, you need to be careful about your fats. Like that's something you really need to watch out for in your diet. And inevitably a nice percentage of the room still is fearing fat.
Right.
And I know that it's a deeply ingrained thing. And this was me. This was me 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, even in my practice, I would tell people, you know, be careful about the fats, you know, high fiber, more complex carbohydrates, you know, that kind of thing. This is what I was taught in a university setting that has led to more and more people being sick. Now, of course, the ratios are going to be different for everybody. What's the percentage of fats that's ideal for them? What's the percentage of carbohydrates that's ideal for you? We want to be mindful of that, but everybody needs sources of high quality fats to nourish your brain, to nourish and insulate your nervous system, insulate your cells. Every single cell in your body has on like a little, nice little coat. All right, it's a fancy coat. Or they can throw on the jackets from like the Thriller video, all right? After they come out the grave, all right? So some of our cells have on those kind of jackets with the holes and just grows just
so you
in,
want
in the ground.
The bad album.
You know it.
Yeah. You
So
don't want the Thriller album.
You want exactly.
You want the one from Bad.
You want the
zips and the buckles.
Right,
right?
it's super dope.
The red one, the black one.
That's MCT oil.
Yeah.
The other stuff, that's the hydrogenated oils that can actually disrupt and in many ways kind of displace the right kind of oils. So your cells will integrate with those things. It creates something called cross-linking. And so we have to make sure that we're getting viable, healthy sources of dietary fats on a regular basis. This is why it's such a wonderful supplement. Food supplements, food-based, right? Coconut oil, the full thing, of course, obviously as well. The MCT oil, that is direct cell food. Those medium-chain triglycerides bypass that normal digestion where a lot of stuff gets lost and can essentially be immediate cell food.
Right. And when you said instant cell food, that just rang a bell for me. I wanted that. I'm like, yes, get to it, you know.
So head over.
Interference.
So head over, check them out. Go to onnit.com. So that's onnit.com/model. All right. So that's onnit.com/MODEL. And you're going to get 10% off MCT oil. Also the Hemp Force protein, another one of our morning favorites and post-workout as well. Alpha Brain, which I have right here in my container. What is
my
fancy bottle?
Cantina.
Thank you, Jim, for this bottle. It says, what does it say?
Power up your brain.
Power up your brain. Clinically proven nootropic. All right, they've actually invested, and it's a lot to do a study. Let me just tell you. But on it invested. Aubrey Marcus, my good friend, invested to do the clinical study. So it's not just saying, hey, you know what? We've got all the best nootropics here in this supplement. Yeah, it actually is, and I'll talk more about that soon. So Alpha Brain, all that good stuff. Onnit.com/model. Now, let's get to the iTunes review of the week.
Yes, this is a sweet one. Simply Amazing Podcast by Gio from Metro Detroit. Shawn and Jade, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Your show is by far the absolutely best one. Thank you so much for always dropping powerful content that I can use on myself, but more importantly, incorporate into my PT clients' lives. I definitely learn at least a couple of things every episode. Well, I really appreciate you too, and keep it up. That's from George Chris Baran.
Wow, George, thank you. That is
out of
just,
Detroit.
Yes, shout out to you. And what a huge compliment to say, especially for somebody who listens to a lot of podcasts, to say that we're standing at the top for you. That really, thank you so much for saying that, and thank you so much for leaving that review. I'll carry that with me throughout the rest of the day. It definitely put a smile on my face. So thank you. And thank you everybody so much for heading over to iTunes and leaving us those reviews. We truly appreciate it. All right. If you've been like, I'm going to leave a review, just do it. Push pause. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. All right. So make sure, please, if you haven't done so already, to leave us a review. It means the world to us. Thank you. Now, on that note, let's get to our topic of the day. So today we're going to be talking about something very important. And underlying every single physical transformation, there needs to be a mental, emotional, and spiritual transformation that takes place. It's the catalyst for becoming what you are truly capable of, for becoming the best you. And today we're going to talk about that, what you actually need for transformation. So we're going to talk about that inner game, because at some point this is going to click for you, whether it's in the other times we talk about it, or it's today, or it's in the future. But we can drill down and talk about polysaccharides and insulin to the nth degree. Right. That's not going to serve you if you don't feel confident and consistent in your life. And if you haven't created the conditions to be that person that you're capable of being. That's what it's really about. that person who makes the decision to grab the cookie or the kale, and by the way, both can be cool. It's just the timing, ingredients, that whole thing,
cookies.
Me too. That's kind of where it came from in my mind right there. Love it. So, sounds gross. Probably good. I don't know. Never did it. So, today we're going to be talking about what you need for transformation. And I've got 5 keys for you that I'm going to walk you through. And we're going to start with number 1. And the first thing that you need for transformation is you need a trigger. You need a trigger to actually activate this need, this burning desire for a transformation, because it can't just be something idealistic like you see a celebrity on TV, like, oh, I would love to look like that, or, something, maybe you're just casually reading something or whatever the case might be, and it's like, oh, I would like to have that. That's not a trigger. A trigger is when something compels you, it pokes so deeply into your spirit that you cannot help but be changed.
That's right.
Now, with that said, you need a trigger. Some people listening are like, well, I haven't had that trigger. I haven't had that thing happen, but I am interested in this. I'm interested in health. I'm interested in being the best version of myself. I'm interested in being fit. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But what is it? Why don't I have that trigger yet? Well, part of my work has been, it's tough because suffering, there's something to be said about suffering, that there's a tremendous gift in it. Our challenges are oftentimes our greatest teachers. But a big part of my work is, how can I intercept that for people and help people to get to a place where the pain doesn't have to be that bad for you to change.
Right. You don't have to go all the way to bottom.
Right. And that's oftentimes where it is, where that trigger is found, is when you hit rock bottom, or the pain is bad enough that you're forced to change.
Right.
How can I create a situation, and you can do that within yourself, to where that trigger is pulled, and now I'm compelled to change, even though I didn't get diabetes.
Right.
I was on my way, but I didn't get it.
Right.
Or, I was on my way to this illness, or to this level of being overweight. Something clicked.
Yeah.
And so you need a trigger. And I want to share this quote with you. So this is from Richard Bach. And it says, "What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly." Okay.
Nice.
So a lot of times when we're working on this stuff, it starts to get a little bit, we'll say, different. Right? It starts to get a little bit different. The world starts to change around you as you start changing.
Does.
And that can be uncomfortable and even scary.
Yeah.
But if that caterpillar runs from that, which a lot of us do, when it starts to get a little bit different, a little bit uncomfortable, we'll turn around and run from it, because it's like, this must mean that I shouldn't keep going.
Right.
In actuality, it means you should keep going even further, because you're close to achieving a level of success and happiness that you've never seen before.
Right.
But you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for the transformation. And so what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, and so that's the end of that reality.
It is.
And so how can we find that trigger, open up that trigger, so that the master, again, calls it a butterfly?
Right. We're caught on this side of that line, and not knowing what's on the other edge can make us hesitate, but then that will prolong that opportunity even greater.
Yes.
There was so much going around me that I begged for the sign, the catalyst, the trigger. I mean, I said, make it like a billboard. I'm asking in prayer. Make it so obvious. Make it where I can't let it go or miss. And then here comes Shawn. I mean, seriously. And even that thing, and then you put the ultimatum up there about the sleep. Even like, well, I mean, we could do some things, but I'm not doing anything unless you start sleeping.
I basically said, I'm not going to mess with you,
You did.
unless you get your sleep.
I'm like, well, if that's the case. So that was a pain, but that was a pain motivator for me. I couldn't imagine. I'm like, well, Jesus, fine, I'll sleep, Good grief. Because I didn't want to be without you, the access to you, that information, because I knew that would be that was one of those major triggers for me to have the change.
Yeah.
But
it was, by the way, everybody, it was in that capacity, in that part of life. It wasn't like, Jade, I'm never going to see you again because you're not,
Well, it felt like that.
It should, and that's another thing that we need to do is we need to be practical psychologists for ourselves and for our family, for our loved ones. It's not easy telling you no.
Right. And for our loved ones, that was loving to do.
Yeah.
Because I made it hard for you to say no. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I know it. You always do.
I begged. I laid on the floor. I threw the tantrum. I held onto your pant leg. Don't leave me.
No, please. No.
Don't leave me. But that's what happened. We have to love them enough and know that what we're giving them is because we love them and we want better for them. But on the flip side, as a receiver, know that they are doing that in love, not to be cruel or punitive to us.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
That's how transformation happened.
So there was a trigger there.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't, the thing was, the pain wasn't bad enough for you, but we collectively did that.
Yeah.
A trigger.
I knew there was worse to go, and that if something didn't happen, I would have gone further.
So that's what I want you to do. That's what I'm asking everyone to do is, if you haven't already had that catalyst, which many people listening already are, they're like, this is for self-assurance. This is for learning new tools. This is for taking things to teach other people. That's what this is about for you right now in this moment. But for many people listening, another large percent, it hasn't been bad enough to just compel you to really get on your game.
Yeah.
And so what we need to do is we have to take a moment and look within. We have to analyze and we have to dig in there and uncover that trigger for yourself. Rather than, you getting hit with a chronic illness, rather than you getting hit with some bad news about a family member. Let's be proactive.
Yeah.
Because prevention is the name of the game, really.
Right.
All right. So what do? Well, we look in and we dig in and we find out, what is that emotional soft spot for you? Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's your loved one, your significant other, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend. Maybe it's their love is so important to you and you cherish that, and it's why you're living. A big part of you feels that this is why I'm alive, is to be able to have and experience this love. And so how can we tie this? How can we make that a trigger to take care of ourselves in a better way and show up better? Well, number one, mentally, we can tie it into things that maybe don't feel good. Like, if I don't get my health together, I'm going to be a burden on my husband. I'm going to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden on him.
Right.
I see how hard he works. I want to be there to support him. And so I need to be healthier so that I can show. And then it can lead to more positive things. And also you have to be a practical psychologist for yourself. What motivates you more? Is it pain or is it rewards?
Right.
Because maybe it's that other part that can turn to of, I want to show up and make sure that I'm always keeping it sexy for my significant other, that I'm always being an inspiration. I know he tells me this, that I'm his muse, I'm his inspiration. I want to continue being that. And I know that I haven't been taking the best care of me,
Sure.
And I want to show up better for this individual. Some of us are self-motivated as well. There are a percentage of people that it is about me, that self-care, that self-love, so I can show up better for everybody. And there's a little bit of that internal inspiration going on. But for the vast majority of us, it's external motivation.
Sure.
We want to be better in our relationships. Maybe it's a job.
Right.
Maybe it's that dream job. Maybe it's that fitness related job that you want to get for you, and it's possible for you. Like you see the person, you're like, I could do that.
I could do that. Right.
That's a great one from Natalie Jill.
Yeah. Natalie
Jill is a great example of that. We'll put her episode in the show notes.
Good.
She was almost 40 years old when she got her first magazine cover.
See?
And she was just like, that was her goal.
That's what she wanted.
And that became her trigger because people told her she couldn't.
Right.
People told her that when you get older, there's, all of these rules and regulations on how fit and how successful, how happy you can be. That motivated her.
Yeah.
So she dug in, but also she did have some downtimes as well. Like a lot of these stories, it got pretty bad for her, before she got to that point.
But she also speaks to how we're conditioned into that. So it may not be that pain is your motivator, but we've been conditioned that way since childhood. Those external voices, those limitations, you can't, that's not possible, or you were taught through pain type of actions,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it was spankings, but other things in life beat you up. And as a child or young person, then you knew, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that may not be the thing that really drives you, but because maybe that's the majority of it, you're not even used to enjoying the reward motivator, the reward driver. And if you get some of those successes, you see, oh, wow, I like that.
Yeah.
And it's okay
yes.
to move that way. And even in that transition, there's a whole new outlook and potential that can happen.
Thank you for saying that it's okay to move that way. Because for some of us, we might even be more motivated by reward, but we don't know it yet because we don't allow ourselves to experience and feel that joy because of our psychological conditioning. That you shouldn't be that successful. You shouldn't have that much happiness. You have to have struggle drama. You know, drama is the name of the game.
That's
right? Have you seen, General Hospital, whatever? Like, it's all about the drama.
Well, there's a lack mindset that goes on, and abundance, discovering abundance can certainly help.
Absolutely. So one other quick thing here for a trigger, another powerful trigger can be getting yourself in the environment of what you want to be, getting yourself in the environment of greatness. All right. This will elevate, and it can be a real powerful catalyst for you to step your game up and step into being the person that you're capable of being. The example just popped in my mind. Tony Robbins shared this story. Very early in his career, he had this goal to essentially to live in this castle, right? There's this like old castle that was like, it was still really nice, being renovated and that whole thing.
Right.
But it's like a 28 room or I don't know, some big castle, right? He's living in this big castle, and he's just like thinking and this is when he's like 100,000-aire, like he's got a nice high 7-figure thing going on, but it's just like they're celebrating every month when they pay that rent.
Nice, right.
But he's living in a castle, a legit castle, spanky swanky, all right?
He wanted it.
Now, he went to a billionaire friend of his house, and he left there depressed because in his mind, he's like, my castle is crap. Like, I'm not fully stepping up into my potential, And so, this is, I want to be clear about this. This is just for enlightened motivation. We don't want to get into the situation of borrowed desires for the sake of this is making my worth because I have this.
That's right.
And that's what's so interesting about him. And he evolved out of that to the degree that he's the person who he is today. So impactful in the lives of so many people. And wow, just being able to,
that's powerful.
We could just do the whole show talking about this. But here's the bottom line.
I'll put it on.
Understand that this is enlightened motivation. Okay. So when you get yourself around that and you know what bothered him was he knew what was possible for him that he wasn't doing, okay? And if you can get yourself, this is a great call to action to make sure that you go to live events, to be in the presence, go to these different live summits and conventions and things like that, masterminds. Get yourself around people who will elevate your game. That can be a very powerful trigger.
Absolutely.
So I want to share one other quick quote here.
And example.
And this is from George Carlin, attributed to him. He said that the caterpillar does all the work, but the butterfly gets all the publicity. All right. So when people see you as like, look at them fly, they don't understand that I had that trigger. I had to really get comfortable with the discomfort and step into this so that I can fly.
That's right.
All right. So let's move on.
So get comfortable with the discomfort.
Yes. So let's move on to number 2. So these are the 5 things that you need for a transformation. All right. Number 1 was you need a trigger. Number 2 is you need a model. All right. You need a model. We can't know exactly where we're going unless we have a map. Right. And we can still get to the destination. It just might take us a lot longer. We might have to go over a volcano. We might have to do the Frodo trip. Right.
That's a rough
Frodo
trip.
and Sam. Right. Shout out to Sam. And you
that
might
was
have
a rough trip.
I know obstructions. You got Smeagol jumping out.
Gives it to us, silly hobbitses.
That was a rough battle just in that one.
You don't need all of that.
Okay.
You know, if you have a map, if you have a model that you can follow. And that's a big reason, of course, why we do the Model Health Show. That's what it's really about for all these different aspects of our reality, whether it is reversing type 2 diabetes or natural treatments for depression or that inner game, right? Emotional fitness.
Yeah.
What's a model? What's a map that you can utilize to get you from point A to point B? And again, I truly do feel, well, first of all, we have to be clear. Nobody else can do your push-ups for you, right? But you can have support there. You can have training on how to do the push-ups right.
Yep.
Right? You can have training and support and encouragement.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you could do more push-ups if you have somebody there to encourage you in whatever modality that might be for you.
Right.
Some people it's yelling. Some people it's like, you got this.
Right.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, but that is powerful.
It is.
That is powerful.
It is.
And that's what it's really about. That model brings all of that to bear to support you. We're here to support you.
For sure.
Right?
Speaking of which, though, the fat loss code, the newly remodeled and designed fat loss code, you know, you mentioned the 5 great exercises on a podcast before that all we need to have a great physique. And pull-ups was one of them, right?
Yeah.
Ever since then, I've been trying to get one, you know, and I'm like, I'm closer. Maybe it's a centimeter. But in the fat loss code, you showed varying ways to do it. You modeled various ways to do that. Yeah. So if you're a beginner, stand in a box and lower yourself first. There were the negatives. There were some options there, and even Ann got into the picture. You had a model there, and I promise you that the progress, although mental, physically happened because I had that model. I really appreciate that, and I noticed that you made those changes in that specialized group. And just made it available for us to be able to have that. So that was really good.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's what we were attempting to do with this redesign and revitalizing the program. Because it's been going for a couple of years, but at this point, I receive so many messages every day that it can be a little bit scary to even open my inboxes. And I remember when I first got started online, I was like, I'm going to answer every question, every single thing that comes in. And then it just became like, even if I didn't eat or sleep or have a family, I still couldn't answer all the questions. And it would bother me, because if you care, I mean, if you even care an iota about what you're doing with this field, where you have the opportunity to help somebody to transform their health, potentially even life-saving in some instances.
Awesome
so it was pretty frustrating, but that's kind of the idea that we came to. And when my wife motivated me, it's like, this select group of people, this is that I can be there to answer those questions, that I can provide these different tools like the progression videos, because we're not like out doing a bunch of YouTube videos, that kind of thing at this point. But at some point, maybe we can get to that, because it does take a higher kind of production value and all this stuff to get this stuff out there. But as of now, that's all there for these individuals in this group. So the fatlosscode.com.
Make sure they know where to find that.
Yeah, the fatlosscode.com. If you're not already a part of this group, it's incredible. And we're going hard every week. Got the Motivation Mondays, Tasty Tuesdays, Fitness Fridays.
Give us stuff for the weekend.
We've got these great challenges going on in the group. And so somebody just won a free gift pack from On It.
Oh, see?
Yeah, a whole $200 pack. And it's so awesome.
Am I
that we can
ineligible?
give all this stuff away.
I'm just saying.
You already get the hookup.
I get all the perks.
All right.
There are so many perks. Yeah.
Back to, you need a model.
You do, but I mean, we've got you as a model, and then we could fall back into that. Well, I know what's possible, but again, that's Iron Man over there. But you make sure that you show how it can work for anyone at whatever level, in some way. Yeah,
and that's another thing. This information isn't exclusive for the few. This is available for every single soul on this planet. You know, there is no prerequisite for you to be able to take this and to apply it to your life. This is why it's so powerful and so valuable, and why to take advantage of this. Yeah. You know, you could spend literally easy 6 figures going to a university, and you won't get this kind of information, period. End of story. However, you can get some valuable learning experience. You can learn a thing or 3 about some subject matter. But in this context, where it's so applicable for your life, where it's so tangible, where it's so clinically proved, the latest research, right? It takes years for those books to get updated, for that structure of a class to get updated. We're not talking about epigenetics. Epigenetics has been around for a couple decades now. It's still not really there, you know, to the degree that you would get from just pushing play on a podcast.
That's right.
How priceless is that?
It's wonderful.
Right? Before, it was just library card.
That's it.
That's all you got.
Right.
That's
Good
your
luck
shot.
with that. Right.
You know?
And you better commit a few hours and days to reading that book.
Right. Now we've got that Automobile University. We've got the audio. We've got audio books. That's been around for a little bit though.
Yeah, but now the Sleep Smarter book is there.
Shout out.
That wasn't there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
true.
Cool.
But y'all, the number 2 thing here for the transformation is you need a model. You need a model. Mm-hmm. And I recommend that you dive head and shoulders, full force into the community of one particular person that you want to model. You know, just fully focus on that. And of course, there can be some little stuff, little sprinkles. Okay, you got sprinkles from other people, but really follow a model. Yeah. So that you can get there, right?
Have a guidepost, a light, a lantern.
Yeah.
So to speak.
And that's really what, if you look at some of the greats, they had that person that they were modeling themselves. So have that one person, and then of course you could transition. Of course, the sprinkles, all right, cherry on top, whatever it is, a little extra stuff, little froth,
I love the
froth. from other resources, from other outlets, and that's the great thing about podcasts. And like that review, it's perfect. You didn't know I was going to talk about this,
right?
But there are many other amazing podcasts. But make sure that you consume and follow that guide, that model, on a consistent basis to help to keep your brain entrained with that right information.
That's right.
All right, that frequency.
Refreshed.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, that's caterpillar moving toward butterfly. You need to hear some butterfly songs.
Absolutely. So on that note, we've got 3 more of these points that we're going to go through for you guys after a quick break. So we'll be right back. I've been battling something for many years, and that is how to fortify or to make sure that I have an insurance policy with my health. And for a lot of us, we're marketed to that we should pick up a, quote, multivitamin. And I remember when I was a kid taking those Flintstone vitamins, they were delicious, but was I really getting any nutrition from those bad boys? And fast forward to today, and we have the Centrums of the world and the men's and women's multis. And a lot of people are buying into this billion-dollar industry, not realizing some of the big mistakes that are happening with those purchases. Number one, this industry is not very regulated. So we have to be mindful of that. What's in the pill might not actually be in the pill. All right. So we have to pay attention to that. Number 2 is the processing of those nutrients. We're talking about when we buy a multivitamin from a conventional company, we're getting a substance that has literally been isolated as a chemical compound in a laboratory, all right? It's not a food-based nutrient. So do your cells even recognize that? Is it simple chemistry that if there's vitamin C supposed to be in this pill, that your body's actually going to take it on? Well, I'm going to argue that no, it's not going to. You're going to have a greatly reduced ability of assimilation when we're throwing our money basically out the window buying those multivitamins. And I know you've had this happen where you buy a multivitamin and then your pee is like some Ninja Turtle color, all right? Some weird neon yellow secret of the ooze. And it's like, what is that? Am I dying? No, you're not dying. Your body is basically getting rid of some of those compounds that it's just tried to take on. And also there are some compounds in the pill that are nourishing your body for sure. There's a couple that are doing that, but overall, it's not the best idea. So what do we do? What do we turn to? Well, personally, I make it a must, and I tell every single person that I come in contact with that they absolutely have to get themselves a green superfood blend. And my favorite is Organifi green juice. It is the best tasting because I've experimented with a lot of the green powders out there. It's the best tasting green powder that I found, and it is loaded with nutrition. I'm going to share a couple of things with you that I really enjoy. So number 1, it has organic wheatgrass. Super loaded with micronutrients and phytonutrients and these really incredible minerals and trace minerals that add a lot to our health. But really, who's going to guzzle wheatgrass? All right. It's not going to be an enjoyable thing. You know, I used to actually go to the juice place and grab a little wheatgrass, and I tricked my mind into thinking, I can taste a little sweetness in there. But every time I drive past somebody who freshly mowed their lawn, I'd start to gag. All right. And I don't want that to happen to you. So it's put into Organifi as one of the hallmark things. Also, we've got organic spirulina. And as you know from listening to the Model Health Show, I'm a big fan of spirulina, the highest source of protein of any compound in the world by weight. So it's about 70% protein by weight. And humans have been consuming this for thousands of years. And there are some really interesting compounds in there you're not going to find anywhere else. like phycocyanin, which has a great impact on your stem cells. All right, so stuff like that, really seemingly magical food compounds are found in spirulina, and spirulina is found in green juice from Organifi. Also, they've got the ashwagandha for stress relief. They've got turmeric, which is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds you're going to find. But here's the great news about this. It's processed with care and consciousness. It's a gently dried superfood blend that's retaining all of those nutrients that you're really going for when you're trying to get a, quote, supplement to supplement a great diet. So remember, food first. Juicing is amazing, but you can get a lot of those nutrients you're looking for in your fresh made juices by consuming the green juice from Organifi. And by the way, I'm a big fan of juicing. I've been juicing for about 10 years now, and it's one of my favorite health practices. But seriously, who's going to clean the juicer for me? You know, if you're going to come over and do that, it would make my life a whole lot easier. Nobody really likes to clean the juicer. And what we want to do is make sure that, yes, we don't want to stop juicing, but those times when you're in a rush, or those times when you know that, hey, I really need to fortify my nutrition, make sure that you're turning to Organifi's green juice blend and just throwing that into some water even, and you're going to deliver a lot of those micronutrients and phytonutrients and trace minerals and minerals, vitamins into your cells, because it's retaining those nutrients because it's properly produced. And I love those guys, and they've actually given us a great, amazing offer as a sponsor of the Model Health Show. So if you go to Organifi.com, and that's Organifi.com, and use the coupon code MODEL, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase of Organifi, and they're going to send you a free copy of my best-selling book, Sleep Smarter, for the first 450 people. All right, so the first 450 people, not only are you going to get yourself this incredible green juice blend from Organifi, but you're also going to get yourself a copy of Sleep Smarter. And if you already have a copy, this is going to be a great gift for a friend. For those people who don't have a copy yet, first of all, what are you doing? Let's go. You need to make sure you have your copy. But Organifi has been gracious enough to send you a free copy of the best-selling book. So head over and check them out right now. Organifi.com. That's Organifi.com. And use the coupon code MODEL. That's MODEL at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Now back to the show. All right, we are back. And today we are talking about what you need for a transformation. 5 different things that you need for a transformation. That inner game, all right, becoming the best version of yourself. And it starts with the inner world, and then it moves to the external. All right. So we covered number 1, you need a trigger. Mm-hmm. All right. You need a trigger. You need a catalyst to get you to move into action. Number 2, you need a model. Number 3, is where we're at right now. Number 3, you need to get out of your comfort zone. Okay. You need to get out of your comfort zone. In order for a transformation to take place, you're becoming something more. You're becoming something more than you are right now. And it's not that you don't already have this within you. It's just being able to manifest itself. And for that to happen, you can't be necessarily prepared for it because it's new growth, right? It's new growth. You don't know what it's like because you haven't been there yet. Exactly. So automatically it's going to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had this interesting experience where I've seen this firsthand and then in the lives of thousands of people that I've worked with. You can either have life kick you into discomfort, right? Like if something happens that throws you into that discomfort where you have a choice, or you can push yourself a little bit. You can ease yourself into the discomfort. All right. You could press up against it proactively. Yeah. And that's really what's so great about exercise, working out, is because you're proactively putting yourself in discomfort without somebody making you do it. Yeah. Right. For the betterment of yourself. That I truly feel helps you to be stronger in the world, stronger in dealing with stress, for sure. Stronger in relationships and in handling issues with your kids, all this kind of stuff. But you might not know this because it's a part of who you are, so you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yes, we got to get out of our comfort zone. What are a couple of things to lean in and actually? A great
one we already covered.
Yeah.
Is getting yourself in the environment.
For sure.
Getting out of your current environment, getting yourself around people who are at another level, right? That can uplift you, right? Also, there's another part of that. There's a service part. Getting yourself in the environment of people who aren't at the level you're at. Yeah. that can make you very uncomfortable. To see the struggle, to see the potential, but the suffering, that can really do something. I'm even thinking about certain situations that I've been in, and it can really be a catalyst for you. So,
Sure. And in the right environment, they'll share what theirs were.
yeah.
And
Yes.
right. So then you know what the pathway can be. Like the folks that you were in the mastermind group, you talked about how humble and giving and sharing they were.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if you're in the right environment, it's not where you're inadequate. It's, hey, we understand how you feel. This is kind of some of the stuff we dealt with. Here's what you can draw from our experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, for me, I'm thinking about where I've come from, you know. The entire time when I was going to my university, I lived in Ferguson, Missouri, which people hear that, they might know that name now because of all the stuff they've seen on the media. And so I've seen a lot of the tension firsthand. Firsthand.
Yeah, right.
And situations you wouldn't even believe that, Shawn wouldn't know. I've seen it. And I've experienced it. And to come from that place and to only see, even prior to that, you know, growing up, I've lived in some good neighborhoods, and I've lived in some very, very bad neighborhoods, like next door to the drug spot. All right. And to come out of that, I had to proactively put myself in uncomfortable situations around people and ideas that were beyond me, beyond my reality. You know, I talked about he was 100,000-aire. Being a consistent 100-aire, if maybe.
Right.
And just even with financial struggles with my health, struggle with my mindset and how I'm relating, my relationships, everything.
Your temperament.
Yeah, yes.
I had to
proactively get myself in the environment. And I remember one of the first, we just talked about this because my wife just went with me to LA. And one of our first trips, and we also seen this really cool couple that came out to the event in LA. And the guy is very similar to me back then. You know, he's buying a lot of different things to help to improve himself and experimenting. And it's really amazing to see that. But it's at the dismay of the other part of the partnership. You know, it's like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like we've got a budget here.
Did you refer them to the relationships?
Oh, we talked, but we talked about it firsthand, you know. Like my wife coming home, she mentioned it on the show. You know, one day she came home and there's this big yoga swing right in the living room because our house is pretty small, you know, so that's where I could put it.
It took up most of the living room.
You know, and she's in her head, she's like, what? But for me, I'm like, look, isn't this amazing? Look, we're going to do this and that, you know. And of course, it became like another catalyst for growth. But at that point, we were on a different page. But I remember going to an event in Arizona, and this was like we were still like super fresh together, and it was a big risk because we were still together. Everything of all of our finances, everything was together, and she was. If I was to just really zoom in, pay attention, because I chose to kind of like just ignore it a little bit because I knew where we were headed, you know, but I risked a strategic risk to get around that environment of all these health experts at this particular event. And it took me to another level immediately.
Absolutely.
And she got to see that down the line, right? It wasn't an immediate thing, but I'm not saying to do this, all right? I'm saying there are great ways to go about this. You take strategic risk. You find a way, because there are some people listening right now, a couple of people, they actually got free tickets to tuition essentially to come to this live program.
Neat.
Right?
Yeah.
But while other people were paying, you know, upwards of $1,000, you know, like there's a way, even somebody showing up and being maybe an intern or helping to facilitate the event. That's what Tony Robbins does. He's got a whole team, like I think it's like 100 volunteers.
Easy.
So and they get to attend, they get to be there at the event, but they're working.
And they get training and all that cool stuff.
There's always a
way. But what you're speaking to is paying attention to that hunger and looking for what will fill that hunger. And it was that hunger that had you even looking outside your environment and looking for, well, there's something else that I'm hungering for.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look to try to satisfy it. You talk about craving. You had a craving for something. more, and our guy, Jade said, keep your heck in check.
Mm-hmm.
You had a hunger there that made you realize you had to make an adjustment, or could make an adjustment.
That trigger, the trigger was pulled big time.
Yes, sir.
At this
yes,
point,
sir.
my health was transformed already, and so now for me, this next level was finding a way to share this with other people and to make this a part of my livelihood, how I actually earn a living and how I share my living, right? And so, and also my model was there at this event, one of my early kind of mentors. And so I wanted to be around that. It changed my mentality. But getting out of your comfort zone, it's a tough one because the comfort zone, even when you say comfort zone, it feels like I'm in a Snuggie.
Yeah, I have macaroni.
Do you have a Snuggie, by the way?
I know I did. My children have taken those over.
Okay, just curious because just personally when I would see it, I'm just
you have to order those. That's right, as seen on TV. Yep.
Bruno Mars though got it popping. He threw it in a song. Something.
Got it there, yeah. They got kind of a new thing where you could just pull them up and you look like a mermaid. They're fins, but it's a blanket. Oh yeah, pretty neat.
See, I think about what if something goes down? And you got to move quick. Yeah, you're a victim, right?
You're a burrito.
Go back to Thriller. When they come out the ground, you're
good.
Your food. Done, yeah. You're good. Let me eat your brains. It's a wrap.
Yeah, right.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Literally, you're a wrap. So
I love it.
So it's tough because the comfort zone is so comfy.
Exactly.
We get caught in the sameness. Then we'll get those glimpses, those moments of I really want to do that, or I know that I'm not living up to my potential, and it'll just kind of come in waves. I'm telling you now, please hear this. You have to ride the wave. When the wave comes, you have to get on it because the waters will calm and you'll settle right back into sameness. You'll settle. You'll get right back into settling.
Yeah. Yeah, you will. You shared a quote, and this was part of another episode, that the chains of habit or routine are hard to break once they've been established. And essentially shifting our discomfort in a new environment to it being so uncomfortable in the existing environment that we're ready to move. And that is getting in and around people that say, hey, I don't know why you were living like that before. Let me tell you how good it feels over here. The water's fine. Jump in,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes. So that when we're doing these things to get out of our comfort zone, it's very uncomfortable at first until it forms this very, very powerful chain that's unbreakable, because it becomes such a part of who you are.
Right.
It's no longer
I could not
uncomfortable,
like that again. Right.
And you don't even realize it, which is so amazing. But you don't want to live there. That's not what life is. I was just talking to this guy. He's almost 80 years old, and he runs in the Senior Olympics.
Neat.
And he's usually there at the track when I go to the track on Saturdays. And sometimes he'll pull out a stopwatch and he'll clock me. He's like, "You're gonna kill it in the Senior Olympics in about 30 more years, whatever it is." I'm just like,
"That's adorable."
I'm coming for it, man.
I'll be there.
But for him, it's a habit. It's a part of who he is, but he's always looking to what's the next thing. And this is why he's so vibrant at his age, is that he's not settling for, okay, I've accomplished this thing, but he's looking at the next Senior Olympics and he's out there training.
Yeah.
He's doing the stairs. He's doing his 200-meter sprints. He's got his track shoes, his cleats. He brings them out there. He laces them up. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful.
And that's great for you to even be around. You know, he's clocking you. That's adorable, right?
So
at this pace, man, you'll be all set.
he said you're going to clean up.
I love that.
So so you have to get out of your comfort zone. When those irritations come, that is I'm done. No more after this. This is it. I'm not settling anymore. I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. Whatever the case might be, when those moments come up, you have to change. You have to take an action because you will start to settle back. Your brain is always looking for that pattern to just get settled back. You want to settle at the higher level.
Yeah,
you want to get settled at the higher level because you're going to have irritation either way. It can just be the kind of irritation that brings you down, the kind of irritation that grows you. All right, so that's number 3.
Love it.
You have to get out of your comfort zone. This is part and parcel of what you need for transformation. So number 1, you need a trigger. Number 2, you need a model. Number 3, you need to get out of your comfort zone. And number 4, you need to stay the course. All right, you need to stay the course. I get a lot of questions about consistency, about what do you do when you fall off the wagon? What do you do when you fail? You know, first of all, we don't even have wagons anymore, guys. All right. What do you do when you fall out of the car?
Right.
All right. You maybe say that instead. Ghost riding the whip and you fall out. First of all, don't ghost ride the whip. All right. You're not E40.
All right.
You're not E40. Let's not do that.
That's right.
So falling
Jump
off
out
the wagon though, but this analogy of, you know, I'm on this path and then I fall off. First and foremost, this is so simple that people can miss it, but you're not going to miss it today.
Okay.
When you fall off, get right back up.
Eureka.
It's just that simple. If you fall off the wagon and then we go and we're like doing our thing and then we driving back by and we still see you laying there and it's a week later, we've got a problem. Yeah. Like, we got to come throw water on you. Like, what are you doing still here on the ground? Like, you fell off. It's okay. Get up.
Right.
You can move. It's okay. So when you fall off, get right back up because everybody falls.
Sure.
And we look at these idols and we see like, oh, they're so perfect. They're doing all this stuff right. That's not how the world works, you know? And I'm thinking of Bo Eason. He shared a great example of this. And Bo is arguably the #1 stage performer in the world, right? His Broadway production, one-man play, and he was in the NFL,
right.
And he came out and did this thing.
And not to mention the story of the NFL and how he decided that's the way he was going. So that's a whole nother level. But he had to make adjustments or become something else that wasn't relevant to who he wanted to be. You know, when you made the example about the wagon, if we come back and we see you there laying a week later, still there, I started thinking of the roadkill, the poor animals.
Yeah.
You know, you see them fresh and it's like, oh, that's too bad. And then the next day or two and they just become. Just saying. Isn't that how it happened? We got to get up. If they could get up or, you know.
They can't get up though.
Yeah, but
it's a horrible analogy.
Okay.
You just brought
I empathize.
You brought down the temperature a little.
I did.
But it's all right.
But I don't want you to become a part of the concrete. Somebody could have come something could have come and gave them a proper send off. Yeah. Or at least the crows could have enjoyed them, you know, but not for nothing. Talking about
nature's a beast.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing's wasted. Man. Yes, a beast.
So with Bo, it really what reminded me was the fact that of him sharing. Yep. Like I fall off every day, and his thing, like, it's like scary, powerful the way that he communicates and he lives his life as the best, the best,
right?
Not second best. It's not even an option for me. Whatever it is that I'm a part of, that thing that is my goal, I'm the best in the world at it. And to hear that he falls off and fails, like he's like every day I have some kind of a failure.
Right. He's like, that's great.
That should be very heartwarming for you to hear that, and very inspirational to know that this isn't this ridiculous fake reality TV world. All right. The real world, we have flaws. The real world, we have failures. The real world, we have challenges. We have bumps along the way. But the great ones, which you are, get up. Yeah. The great ones get past that obstacle simply by moving forward. All right. Even if they stop for a day, even if they stop and they, you know, talk about how bad the obstacle is, how much, you know, this person put the obstacle in my way, and how much this obstacle physically hurt me. I got a physical injury from this obstacle. They keep moving forward anyways. Right. All right.
And
you take a little time, brush yourself off, whatever that might be for you.
That's right.
But you keep moving forward and you will overcome it. And that's what builds that strong emotional character, all right, to truly transform any area of your life that you want.
That takes me back to when you said, okay, I understand you hurt your leg, but you still got an arm. Do something with your arm. Yeah. Or if I think it was, I told you I was uncomfortable with a certain kind of push-up when we were training earlier. You said, well, here we can do it like this. I'm like, okay, wasn't getting out of that.
Change the arm angle. Yeah. Let's go.
We'll make it work. Make it work.
So also, so tough times. Tough times are going to come up. It's the nature of being alive.
Yeah.
Right? It's the nature of being alive. And I said this before, I believe it was Norman Vincent Peale, but the only people without problems are in the cemetery, right? Every day above ground is a good day. And problems are a sign of life, is some of the things that he said. Now, we don't have to live our reality looking for problems and living our life in such that what's the next problem that's going to come along. We don't have to live like that.
That's right.
But just knowing
We
that
shouldn't.
there are going to be things that come up along the way. They could be small, they could be big. And I truly believe, and this is my personal belief and just from my life experience, that if you honor those small problems that come up, if you actually pay attention to them and resolve them, the bigger problems don't tend to come around that often.
Right.
It's my belief that life keeps serving you and providing you the training ground for you to become the person that you want to be. And it's like, I'm saying I want to be this person. All of my thoughts are towards that action. And then these things come along for you to develop yourself to be that person. It's a small thing at a time. And if you take care of them, you just keep moving forward. Small discomforts. But if it's like I keep ignoring these small things, these irritations, these nuisances, life comes with something a little bit bigger to smack you awake so that you do the things that you say you want to do and become the person you say you want to become. Now, this is my personal belief.
Okay.
But this is what I've seen firsthand. And I like the smaller problem issue, right? And any problems. This is why they're called problems, right? They're showing up surprise because the other ones are surprises, right? We like surprises.
We don't like
but problems are surprises that we don't like, basically, right? And so all of these are going to be out of nowhere, so it's never a good time for a problem to come along. But if you can have that flexibility, and I love just some of the concepts that Bruce Lee talks about, being like water. Water has structure, and it can hit with tremendous force, but also it can be so malleable and so fluid, right? So it has structure, but it's also flexible, right? So we want to be water, my friend.
Yes, we do.
We want to be more water.
You could float on it or relax in it, or you could be in a master blaster water gun and take somebody on.
So the tough times are there to develop the character, to develop these qualities that you need for that transformation. Things are going to come up, but it's really about that consistency. Even when things come up, you get right back onto your goal. You get right back into action in whatever form or fashion. And a great example of this is I was just on the road for 8 days. It was like 5 or 6 events, which I've never done before. And I'm very grateful because now I know that I can do it, and I can do it to a great degree and a great standard, and to show up and serve, throughout all of that stuff and the travel and the movement and being out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Because I love my bed. I love that home field advantage. I love it. But it brought forth the opportunity for me to really be consistent. How consistent can I be with all of these obstacles? Yeah. And so what it took for me, number one, was some prevention, right? Planning ahead of time, taking out a schedule, looking at, okay, with all this stuff going on, what days can I actually work out?
Right.
Where am I going to go get my food? Like these small things help to facilitate. These are challenges, though. It wasn't easy. Uber everywhere. All right, I was Ubering all over the place, but I made sure. Can I
pass by here? All right, then we can go back to the hotel. Yeah.
Anyway, so that actually did happen.
I know it did,
but it was a challenge, obviously. But I embraced it and I executed. I even had to make one minor adjustment because I had it all scheduled out, like this is how it's going to go down. But one of those days didn't work out like that. Oh. So I just flipped it. I made it so the next day, no matter what, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Right. And that's exactly how I played it. And there's always opportunity. It's just how important is it for you? Right. Because we all have the same 24. Right. It's just what do you do with it? And each day is a clean slate. Each day is a new opportunity to step up and step into your greatness.
And stay the course.
Yes.
I like that. How can I stay the course? It's like a fun challenge today.
And we've talked about this a lot, but we got to talk about it again. In staying the course, it's difficult if you've got obstructions that are, kind of physical in nature, but especially when they're human in nature. All right. When you've got somebody who's obstructing your path, right? Seemingly, yeah, okay? The AKA hater, the mad hater. All right. So, we've talked about this many times, but what is it about the hater, the person telling you can't do this, or it's stupid, or, you've tried this before? What makes you think this is different? Whatever the case might be, That's saying you're not good enough, you're not qualified enough, whatever it is. Especially if these individuals are in your life and they're in your energy field, which we talk about Heart Math. And you can look at this. You can actually go online, check out their work. It's amazing. The Heart Math Institute with the work that they're doing. I believe it's called a magnetoencephalograph. And it shows that the human body, we emit a radioactive field that extends about 8 feet from our bodies. Wow. All right. So when we're in the room, we are literally, our magnetic fields are interacting with each other. We are literally connected. Wow. That's profound. Yeah. Profound. Now, with that said, what happens when you're in the space with somebody who is hating on you, right? And you're telling them about this goal that you have, or this thing that you're working on, and they know you. You know, they've known you for a long time. Maybe it's years, maybe your entire life. And you're telling them, you know, I'm getting in shape and I'm eating all this great food and it's amazing. And they're like, you eating what? Right. You better go eat some cereal, you know, whatever it is. And it's just because here's what happens. When you start to change, it literally changes their brain. Mm-hmm. Okay? It literally changes their brain as well. And they might not have signed up for that. It's going to cause some discomfort and irritation in them. We can talk about mirror neurons. That's right? Powerful. We can talk about the function of mirror neurons. Their brain, their mirror neurons are literally starting to mirror your actions, your words. It's simulating them doing it. It creates discomfort within them, right? Wow. And this is an immediate call because all of us have this greatness. It's an immediate call to their soul, like, you are not stepping up, right? So it's going to irritate them. They don't want to lose you in the comfort zone, right? Because that's going to draw out of them that they have to get out of their comfort zone and become more as well. Wow. It's not that they're intending to hurt you, and it's not that it's their intention to bring you down. This is something within them, but we have to be equipped to handle this. It's not, I'm telling you now, this might be the hardest thing. This might be the most difficult thing if you care. Right. You know, if you care about people and then they're coming at you sideways, like you're doing something wrong when what you're doing is righteous and beautiful and something that is worthy of the highest version of yourself and them. And for them to shoot you down on that, that can really do a number on your psyche. Yeah, so how do we handle the haters? How do we actually handle this? Number one, first and foremost, very, very simple. Again, we might miss it because of its simplicity, is to have compassion on them. Oh, sure. Have compassion because understanding this, they don't know that they're doing it. So be a little bit more patient, a little bit more compassionate. And I'm not saying this is easy, but to be in those moments of conflict where they're coming at you sideways to say, you know what? I love you and I appreciate you and I respect you and I'm going to hold a space for you. I don't know what's going on in your life that this is causing such irritation, but I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep loving you. And whenever you want to come around to be on this level with me and to treat me with respect, I will be there for you. That's beautiful. All right.
That's beautiful. So you really empowered us with those statements, equipping us with those as options. And then I see the benefit too that that's one of the best ways I can change someone I care about is let the magnetic field do what it does. Let it do what it do, so to speak, right?
Let it do what it do, baby.
Let it do what it do. But
shout out to Ray Charles.
Okay. But I'll save that space for you because I do want you here and close and in here in this motion with me. Yeah. But not to where it will drag you one way or me another. Yeah. Yeah.
Love
we can be more fluid.
Love it.
When you enter in. Hey, Shawn. I'm going to memorize those.
This is the important caveat too, though, is that this is not about becoming some kind of a like sacrificial lamb for people though. All right. It's not the intention for you to become food for other people and for them to be a punching bag. Right. Okay. Let me make that clear.
Exactly.
There's a degree of this hateration that is fit and still in the realm of respect. If somebody is blatantly coming at you in a position that is to hurt you, which you can tell, but again, you have to be your best self to see it clearly. Like, are they actually, do they have my best intention at heart, Because there is a situation where you can block these people. You can block their number. You can say, you don't have to go over to their house or whatever the case might be.
That's right.
You don't have to deal with that. What a concept.
Right.
Guess what? But why do we punish ourselves like that? Because we say, oh, they're, this is my auntie.
I owe it
this
to
is my,
them.
this is my.
It's my obligation.
Right.
To them.
Whatever family member it is, and it's just like, well, it's family.
Right.
I promise you, there's this place. It's called Earth, and there are billions of people here that are actually a part of your family. Guess what? We're all related. Kind of weird.
Yeah, right.
Gets a little uncomfortable. Kind of weird.
But brother.
We're all connected. All right. We are part of the same race, part of the same family. We've got our different levels of family and what that looks like. Our micro families, and we have our macro family. You have more than just what you've defined as your immediate family.
Yes.
And you can make room to bring in other people to support you on you becoming the best version of yourself. All right. You need to give yourself that permission because family does not mean abuse.
Right.
Please understand that. All right. So just wanted to talk about that because it's important. And a lot of people deal with this. I know this happens. But how do you actually come at this from a place of kindness?
Yes.
And coupled with this ability to assess and understand whether or not this is respectful or this is something that you deserve better than to tolerate. All right.
That's right.
Now, let's get to the number 5 here. Number 5. All right. What you need for a transformation. So we covered you need a trigger. You need a model. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to stay the course. All right. Even with the obstructions that come along, you need to stay the course. And number 5 is you need to own it. You need to own it. For this transformation, you have to own it. You have to own your greatness. For some people, this is the toughest one.
Right.
All right.
Permission.
This is the toughest one. Yes. Because when you start to become more of your true self, more of your higher self, the greatest version of you, you start to become it. We can shy away from it because it might be shining too bright. It might be too good. And we have this self-sabotaging mentality and behavior that we don't deserve this. We have to deal with this. You have to own your greatness. You have to own how important you are and how special and unique you are. You have to own that you are actually here. You are actually put on this planet to become the greatest version of you. And only you, because no one else can do it for you. And no one previous to this moment or on the planet now or ever will be is uniquely designed as you. No one has ever seen through those eyes before. No one has ever walked in those footsteps and never will.
Right.
Everything about you is actually unique. Everything. And to sit on the sidelines with all that goodness is this weird kind of selfish thing that we do. And this is about waking up and understanding every step that you take towards that greatness, it's uplifting every single person on the planet.
See?
Because we are, in fact, again, we get into quantum mechanics. We could just do a whole show on that at some point, actually.
Yeah.
But you're uplifting this vibratory field on the planet. This isn't some airy-fairy thing. This is hard science. You actually are changing that. And then there's that quote that the rising tide raises all ships. So as you uplift yourself, you're uplifting everyone else. Right. And not only do you deserve it, but everyone else.
Yeah, bring it for us.
We need you to do that.
Come on, hook us up.
Jump in the water's
That's
fine.
Right. Do
Jump
a cannonball, please.
So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Because I saw some emotion change on your face when I said this one.
Oh, boy.
How do you own it? How do you actually start to get into that mental strength that you can own your greatness?
Well, it's interesting you didn't warn me about what we were speaking about today, and all those 5 things that we just pointed out are what's happened. And that's what the ownership, it began with permission because I knew I wanted it, but being able to say it's okay to want it and it's okay to have it and it's okay to own it. But the owning was, I not going to get there because Shawn gave it to me or because everybody says, hey, you're good and you can do it. The ownership puts the controls in my hands and on my side so that I can drive. You know, I can't be a drone in this. I can't be on remote pilot for this. And even if I were, the achievement of it, I can't even own the achievement of it if I didn't own the execution and initiation of it. So you can want it, but you can't consume it if you don't own it. And I learned all that along this way, Shawn, and it took a few different indicators.
Yeah.
And I'm eternally grateful for you for that patience and kindness and saving a space for me. I didn't even know how awesome and big that space was until even here recently. And then you told me, go ahead. I've been waiting for you. And it was like, oh, this fits great. I love this.
I love it, yeah.
So the permission to want it, the permission that I can have it, and allowing myself to take hold of it so that I also can own the benefit of it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You put me on the spot.
Wow.
But this is real life,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm just receiving. I'm listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You see it.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving me a seat.
Oh, Jade.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, listen. There's this, and I've said this before, but Common, you know, the rapper / actor /
activist.
Yeah.
Conscious
but he said that nobody believes until I believe me.
There you go.
Nobody's going to believe your greatness until you believe it yourself.
Mm-hmm. They could believe in it.
Yeah.
And the potential of it.
Yes, of course.
But when you believe it yourself, it's like, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And they can put that full force, belief, yes, and
behind
support
you.
into you. So you believing yourself is really the key. You know, you need to own it. You need to own your greatness, no matter what level you're at right now.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's more valuable than you on this planet. At the same time, there are levels to this. There are levels to your greatness because you shouldn't be measured up against somebody else. And each level that you achieve, just know that, like, this is me. This is part of my greatness. This is how I'm designed. And I just want to share one more small thing with this, is that this took time for me as well, of course, you know, to really own. But I think my wife has shared many times the things that I would proclaim, the things that I would say, and how I am this, you know, I'm the greatest nutritionist on the planet, all these things I would say when I'm like, when I've got like one client, you know, whatever it is, you know, but I knew it and I was owning it, and I knew where I was headed. I knew what I was capable of. And I also knew my heart, and I knew that that would be the thing that would set me apart, not from other people, but from my old self.
For sure. You made a seat for yourself where you might not have had, and this is what you've been speaking to us about. If you didn't have a model, which we need, then create a space for you to show up in too.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you did for you. You're like, okay, I can do, I believe in it. And then you caught up to it. You made the room. Then we got hooked up. We got hooked up for it.
Well, everybody, thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. This was a really important episode for me, and I wanted to share this from my heart because I need you. We need you. Everybody listening, everybody on the planet, everybody who's ever even graced this planet or who's going to come. This is your opportunity to make your mark and to be great and to truly enjoy this life. This is your opportunity, right? You got a certain amount of summers. You've got a certain amount of days, and each one is valuable, and each one is a fresh start. So it doesn't matter what comes along as far as an obstacle or how cozy the comfort zone gets. You can take some time there, but always get back up, keep moving forward, because in life, everything is moving forward. It doesn't go backwards. So if you're trying to stay the same, you're not just staying the same, you're going backwards. All right. And this is your opportunity to move with life, to move with all of that energy and power that moves you forward, along with the rest of this incredible experience that we have. And I appreciate you so much for tuning into the show. Take care. Have an amazing day. And I'll talk with you soon.